Sanae Takaichi is a very interesting character. Not only is she the first woman leader to rise to this position in Japan, where women, surprisingly, given the fact that it's a democracy and in many ways quite liberal, women haven't quite risen to any top positions in many aspects of life in Japan. I will tell you a little personal story about that. And the personal story is about India Today magazine, where I worked. In 1984, Japanese Prime Minister Nakasone was coming into India. That was the first visit by a Japanese Prime Minister to India after 23 years. So as he was coming in, India Today magazine decided to do a special issue, like a supplement on India-Japan relations, which meant sending a reporter. Reporter in that case was Simran Bhargava, and sending a senior person from marketing and sales, because this was a supplement. Somebody had to go and sell space to Japanese corporates. That was Mohini Bhullar, who was then marketing director of Living Media Group or India Today Group. Now, when the names went to the Japanese embassy, Japanese ambassador got in touch with Arun Puri, the editor-in-chief of India Today, and said, listen, are you sure? Are you sure you want both your people visiting Japan to be women? And he said, reporter, I can understand, but marketing and sales, you have to deal with Japanese corporates and CEOs, etc. They don't know how to deal with women. And Arun Puri said, they haven't met Mohini, right? So Mohini Bhullar did go there, and the magazine got a wonderful supplement filled with ads. Wonderful also because it was filled with ads. So that is the stereotype about Japan, that women do not get as much equality in position of power as they might in many democracies, particularly in Europe, with which Japanese democracy also competes in terms of the sheer quality of its constitutionalism and democracy. It is there now that Sanae Takaichi has risen. Again, the important thing is we've seen women rise in politics in India as well, and there are some who are self-made, for example, Mamata Banerjee, Mayawati, but most others you would see are usually descendants of an illustrious family. Then go back to Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, you can see Sonia Gandhi, Maneka Gandhi, and many others elsewhere in the country. Mehbooba Mufti, for example, most of them come from some dynasty. Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto, right? Sri Lanka, Sri Mavo, Bandar Naike, and Chandrika Kumaratunge, but not Sanae Takaichi. In 2004, she married her fellow member of parliament, member of Diet, Taku Yamamoto, then got divorced in 2017. Why did they get divorced? Political difference in political views, etc. The same party. But they said that they could not handle political arguments and differences at home. That's how they got divorced. And then she remarried in 2021. And to who? She married a second time, but to the same guy, to Mr. Yamamoto, who soon ceased to be Mr. Yamamoto. I will explain to you why. Now she married him under the Japanese law. When a couple gets married, right, the woman usually must take the husband's name. That is something that Takaichi did not want. But because she's a conservative, even now she's saying she will not amend that law. So legally, in a way, Japanese women will be obliged to take their husband's name. So the last time she complied with the legal requirement, but in the public usage, she did not change her second name. Now what's happened is 2021, when she married the same guy again to comply with the law, and they said the law is that both husband and wife must have the same second name. So Mr. Yamamoto, who's now 75, he's 75 to Takaichi's 64, he has taken her second name. So he's now Mr. Takaichi. So both have the same second name, and that's how the legal requirements are also fulfilled. She's a self-made politician. And you know what? She's also a bit of what young people would call a dude, in the sense that she was known to ride motorcycles, she was known to play drums with heavy metal bands. She's featured in commercials for credit card companies in the past. She's also been a leader of the right, of sort of generally harder right. Her party, LDP, Liberal Democratic Party, which has ruled Japan for most of the time, since the Second World War. Says since 1945, it has ruled Japan either directly or in a coalition for 70 years. LDP itself is a little bit right of center, but what happens is when it comes to power, when a prime minister comes in, usually they take a coalition partner, and that coalition partner also smoothens the edges of its right-wing ideology. That's how Shinzo Abe was a leader of hard right. But once he came to power, he did moderated himself. He moved a little bit closer to the center. Sanae Takaichi goes back to the early days of Shinzo Abe's rise to power. She was very much his protege, and she rose to power with him. He appointed him in his cabinet, and from there she's competed within her party. This is a very male dominated environment. She competed there. She tried for prime ministership earlier but failed. This time she's come right on top.